What's up YouTube? 90s Kid here, and today we're going to talk a little bit about a new build that I've been working on. This build is probably the funnest build I've played in this game. I've had a lot of fun with it. It's not the most damaging blunderbuss build there is, so if damage output is what you're maximizing, I would say this probably isn't it, but in terms of maximizing team DPS on a boss, it's still really good. There's still a lot of utility with it, but it's really good in terms of like staying alive. There's a lot of slows and roots and knockdowns, and there's some extra healing, so survivability is good. Movement speed is higher than like anything. Um, it's up there with like berserk movement speed. It's pretty crazy. It's very rewarding in terms of it's the explosive trapper. So there's a lot of explosions going off, and when you get your combination right, and these explosions go off at a similar time, if not the same time, man, that's a chunk. That's a chunk of damage. That's like it's just hard to ignore. I've had plenty of healers and tanks and even DPS message me or just outright say, like, yo, Blunderbuss is insane. And it is. And again, that's the point of these videos, right? That's why we're breaking down the Blunderbuss, is to try to get that stigma off of it. But yeah, again, Explosive Trapper, that means we're using the Musket, specifically the mechanic, right? This weapon allows us to use traps and sticky bombs more often, so cooldown reduction of 20%. Accelerated traps give us 33 movement speed. That goes into what I was saying. Our movement speed is pretty crazy. Traps bleed for 16% weapon damage for 5 seconds, which means that bleed is pretty much up constantly. And sticky bombs heal for 32% of the damage done. You know, when you're doing 6 to 12k damage, depending on if something's weak or not, to um, fire explosions, like that's crazy. You know, if you're hitting 9k, right, which is pretty often happening, that's about a 3,000 heal every 6 seconds. So it's a nice little mini potion, right? Um, my blunderbuss is just my typical blunderbuss, and it's why I say that this could be better, is because I'm using a moonstone. I think there's other gems that could be in place of this. This is Disdained Infliction, Keen and Keenly Jagged. So I get that Arboreal Moonstone in, so I got a Poison going, I got a Bleed going, and those are stronger than normal. Um, and Disdained Infliction affects my dots on my Splitting Grenade as well. So again, this is all something you've heard me talk about before. This is one of those builds that where we're using the blunderbuss more often than we're using the mechanic, but it's not a primary focus on the blunderbuss, which makes it be a little bit less DPS in the sustained area, I guess, in the long run. But I think overall, being the utility and just how much fun it is, and how rewarding it is, it just makes it so much better. Like, plus you just don't see people running the two guns, you know. Um, so that's a reason right there, isn't it? Let's take a look at the armor. You've seen these armors before, right? Ignited rune glass and fire harnessing. These pants are new. That's just fire harnessing and ignited rune glass. I got ignited rune glass in these boots. So this is our main artifact that we're going to use for armor. Winged leather boots. Now you can use attuned pants, but I really like, again, the fun aspect is huge for me. I really like having that 50% increased haste length. That makes any of our haste just be so much longer. But we get a 10% damage boost while we're hasted as well. Which, I mean, that's nice, but that's not why I'm doing it, right? So, we'll take a look here. We have Hustle as one of our perks on the musket. So when we dodge, we get that. So that's a 5-second haste. But now if we toss that trap out with accelerated traps, plus the dodge roll, look at that haste, man. Look at that run speed. That's awesome. You know, that's a lot of fun, especially in chest runs. Catching up, getting ahead of whatever it is, that's a lot of fun. I mean, that is a lot of fun. So that's the armor setup that you kind of want to focus on. I'm using a fire ring. Nothing special about the amulet or the earring. Keep your refreshing high. Obviously, I like healing heart to have an extra to heal, but that's pretty much it. Um, Vines for some extra rending, but yeah, let's go ahead and we'll take a look at our attributes real quick. I run a little bit more Constitution with this build because sticky traps, or for traps and sticky bombs, you find yourself not moving for a half second to a second to throw those things down. So if you're not in the right spot at the right time, you're going to find yourself kind of in a, let's say, a sticky situation, right? Um, you don't have to focus primarily on dexterity. You can go up to this. Um, I find that just the crit is more than enough for this. Again, we're not our basic shots and our skills in terms of, I guess, shooting your musket isn't what we're looking at here. So dexterity isn't primarily what we want to focus on. We want to keep our strength high. If you can get, the goal is to get to this 10% damage on stunned, slow, and rooted enemies. That's gonna help our damage out even more. And we could get there if we didn't have this constitution. Um, we're right off the limit for a food. I mean, I think a food would probably get us there. Let's go ahead and pop one. What do we got? What do we got? Intelligence. Let's use that. So yeah, we can hit it with the 44 food. So those damage numbers are pretty good. That's kind of where you want to set your attributes. Again, use more Constitution if you need it, especially in the beginning. Again, for me, I think it's better that you just cut ties with Constitution and just try to learn to get good, essentially. You might piss off a party, but whatever. It's not like they're not dying either, you know what I'm saying? Um, in terms of our musket, traps and sticky bombs, it's what you want to focus on. We got the rend, we got basically dealing damage to a trapped target. You deal for 100% of your weapon damage dealt. Again, extra healing. You get 2 traps with this one. Sticky bomb, you'll do 200%, 210% fire damage to all enemies in a 3 meter radius. You get a little stamina when it explodes, and you can slow an enemy if you stick them, which, when you get good, you'll stick them, right? Um, these other passives, they're just whatever you want to do. Get the dodge to reload, more damage to crowd control, hitting a target with an active debuff. Again, when you throw a trap down, they're debuffed, so the sticky bomb's getting that 5% damage. Headshots, that way, if it's a boss, you can quickly headshot a boss if you want to weaken. It's not necessary, it's just using points at this point. I do use powder burn because we have the fire build, so you might as well utilize that, right? In terms of blunderbuss, things are a little different. Using the same skills, just some different passives. Artillery and buckshot can be weaved in and out, but I'm using last chance here. So when I go below 50%, I get a 30% fortify, and that's gonna go well with my fortified recovery, which gives me another 20% fortify under 50% health. So 50% fortify, um, you know, if I go under 50% health, which is basically any time I get breathed on. So that does absolutely help. But what I want to focus on is not having unload and having double down instead. And this being an explosive trapper essentially has us trying. Our combination is going to be focusing mainly on explosions happening simultaneously or as close as we can get and double down helps us essentially do that, whether we're having a splitting grenade again at the beginning and the end of the combo, or like Azoth splitting grenade Azoth, which is typically what I prefer to do. So we'll go ahead and we'll come up to this boar. I'm going to throw a clamp on it, so I'm going to trap him. I'm going to sticky bomb him, and I'm going to switch, do Azoth splitting grenade Azoth. So let's go ahead and so you see all those explosions happening pretty much simultaneously, and he just melts, all those explosions. Again, this I would say the combination on my previous builds, where we were testing combos, is probably roughly the same, if not better. But those explosions, man, how cool is that, right? So yeah, this is kind of the build. Again, in terms of survivability, you can, instead of two Azoths, pretty much 2 seconds apart from each other, you can do splitting grenades 6 seconds apart. You can do your blast shot 6 seconds apart, so you'll have multiple knockdowns on harder targets. So again, it's you just play around with it, and you know, just kind of see how much fun it is, and I think you'll really enjoy it. So I'm gonna play some clips from some Mutation 1, Mutation 2s after this. But this is the build. This is the Explosive Trapper. Tell me what you think down below in the comments. Hopefully we can figure out where this thing doesn't shine necessarily and make it shine a little brighter there. We can kind of pinpoint what we want to do in terms of perks. If you have any ideas of what the mechanic last perk should be, or the winged leather shoes, hit me up. Let me know. Let's build this. You know, this is what this stuff's supposed to be for. So, anyway, let me know what you think. And I'm 90s kid. Peace.